Have you noticed how the cost of everything is going up at the moment? Inflation looks set to stick around, so it's up to us to think of some clever ways to save the pennies. Hi, I'm Ben, and if you're thoroughly fed up with spiralling prices, growing some of your own food is one of the best ways you can fight back. With the tips I'm going to share in this video, you can dramatically shrink your grocery bill while enjoying more healthier, fresher food. It's a win-win scenario. Whether you're new to gardening or an old and muddy hand at it, it all starts with the seeds and seedlings you need to populate your garden. And there are some great ways to save money when it comes to sourcing your seeds. One way to get a head start is to look out for seed collections or multi-packs. My local grocery store, for example, currently has a 6-pack of different vegetable seeds available for a fraction of their individual cost. Some stores and garden centres offer a value range of seeds, often of tried and trusted old-time favourites. And look out for seed swaps too, where you can often exchange or barter seeds and young plants for free. And once you've grown your vegetables, you can save your own seed, of course, of favourites like beans, tomatoes and peppers. Save them at the end of the season, and then you can trim your seed bill next year. If it's early on in the season, remember that a lot of seedlings can be helped along with a little bit of warmth. Now, I'll let you into a little secret here. I don't actually own a heated propagator. Instead, I put any warm season crops that need germinating on a sunny windowsill, a warm windowsill, just above a gentle heat source. The warmth radiated up from the heat source encourages them to germinate. I check regularly, and then once they're up, they'll go into the greenhouse. Now, if you don't own a greenhouse, that's absolutely fine. A cold frame or anywhere sheltered and warm will help them grow on. Another great place to germinate warmth-loving crops like peppers and tomatoes is on top of a refrigerator. The heat extracted will help give them that background warmth. Do check them very often, and once they're up, move them to that sunny, warm windowsill to carry on growing. Let's make some pots for free, and I love doing this because it really saves quite a lot. You've got your usual suspect, old yoghurt pots or similar with holes skewered into the bottom for drainage. Then you've got fruit and mushroom trays, many of which come with holes already, or you can just again skewer or drill some into the bottom. Those are great. But how about biodegradable pots? Let's make some now. Let's start with a newspaper pot. And for this you'll need a cup roughly the right size. Anything will do, even a Princess Fairy cup. Anyway, let's start. We've got strips of newspaper slightly taller than the cup that you're using as your mould. We're going to fold it over like that, squeeze it down, and then simply unfold it again to leave a crease. Now take your pot and then wrap as tightly as you can around your pot like this. There we go. Now turn your pot upside down and fold the paper in onto it like that. And then to create a nice firm base, I'm going to pinch around the edge of it like this, and that helps to firm it up a bit. Slide it off your cup. So follow the line of the crease and just turn the paper in and fold it in like that, and again pinch it around the edge. And there we've got your paper pot. Now obviously it's a bit fragile, but when you pack these all together in a tray cheek by jowl, they'll support each other and should last until it's time to plant them out. Let me show you one other thing, and that's to use a toilet roll tube like this. For this I'm just going to make snips at 12, 3, 6 and 9 o'clock. And then just like a cardboard box, you're pushing them down and folding them in on each other to create that kind of firm base. These are slightly deeper, so they're great for things like beans and corn seedlings, for example. And when you plant them, you just plant the whole thing in and it'll rot away, adding a little bit of extra carbon to the soil, and you don't have to worry about all that plastic waste, of course. And then final tip on all of this, do make your own plant labels from yoghurt pots or milk cartons. I like to make my bought-in potting mixes go a bit further. There's no point saving on seeds if you're going to be spending a small fortune on potting mixes. Now, one of the ways I do that is to reuse potting mix to sow seeds. Many gardeners will gasp in horror at that, but let me explain. I start many of my seedlings off in pots, and as soon as they're germinated, they go into plug trays when they're still very young. They seem to settle down just fine at this stage, and because they've often been in the pot for as little as a week, the potting mix has hardly been touched, so it's easy to reuse that to fill new pots and sow the next batch. Because young seedlings are so shallow rooted, another option is to take some of your old potting mix to part fill your pot, say 2/3 of the way, and then top up with fresh potting mix, in this case our seed starting mix, and then sow into that. And because the roots will hardly get lower than about that there, you can then prick them out or transplant them without any problem. The same approach can go for larger containers too, like this pot of lettuce here that I've just potted up. The bottom has got old raked up leaves filled into it, and then I've got old potting mix that I've salvaged, and only in the top half do I have my new fresh potting mix. The lettuce is shallow rooted, so it's none the wiser. Why waste pricey potting mix when you can cut a few corners like this? One thing you definitely don't want to skimp on is the organic matter that you add to your soil, because the organic matter feeds the soil and by extension the plants that you grow in it. Now, everyone should be upping their composting game, and we've got a few great videos on that which I'll pop a link to in the video description below. But what if you really want to max out your composting? How can you get enough materials to make even more compost? You've got several options for finding more ingredients. Ask your neighbours, perhaps they can save the leaves they collect, or you can just take bags from the curbside. Another option, it's springtime, what about all that garden tidying up that's going on? Perhaps you can intercept some of that garden waste for your compost bin. Cardboard of any type, as long as it's not glossy, is an excellent source of carbon. Ask around, see if there's any boxes going free from deliveries, and then add them to your compost heap. But do tear them up into smaller pieces before adding to speed up decomposition. Make friends with your local arborist or tree surgeon as well. They've often got wood chips that they are only too happy to get rid of, and that's gold dust. And search online for free wood chips as well. There are also websites that connect arborists and tree surgeons with end users like us gardeners. You sign up, register your location, and then local arborists will get in touch if they have a load of wood chips to drop off. And while we're down here, let me tell you that one of the very best compost accelerators is the droppings from herbivorous pets like guinea pigs and hamsters. Perhaps you've got a friend who uses wood shavings to line the bottom of their cage, and you can collect all of that up along with those droppings to add to your compost heap. It will give it the most phenomenal boost, let me tell you. Rosie and I are out on our lunchtime walk, and look what I've come across, this beautiful bank of comfrey. Now, comfrey is what's called a bioaccumulator. It has long tap roots that draw up nutrients from far below in the soil that then accumulate in their leaves to cut and simply add to the compost heap or drape around plants to give them a boost as needed. It's well worth growing a plant like this in your garden too. If you do decide to grow some comfrey, be sure to source the variety Bocking 14, which isn't invasive like the wild comfrey is. Let's move on to cost-cutting ways to help your plants thrive. Now, I've got this clump of bamboo here, which I use to just cut and harvest my own plant supports. I'm always amazed at how much bamboo canes cost, especially when they're so easy to grow yourself. It's worth keeping a clump or two of bamboo in the garden for this purpose, but do make sure it's a clump forming species so it doesn't invade the garden and get out of control. But look at these. These are at least 10 foot tall and they're nice and sturdy. Wonderful. If you haven't got any bamboo in the garden, then there are alternatives. Hazel is great if you coppice it by cutting it right down at ground level so it sends out these nice, straight, long stems. And also I find things like buddleia or the butterfly bush produces those good straight stems as well. Many crops like brassicas of any type need protecting from the likes of butterflies, moths, pigeons, just about anything. Now they'll need some sort of cage to do that, and a cheap way of doing it is just to insert bamboo canes cut to whatever height you need and then insert plastic bottles over the top so you can then drape your protection. This is purpose sold insect mesh, but you could use tulle or net curtains or any finely meshed fabric, and you can source these on sites like, well, eBay, Craigslist, Gumtree, those kind of sites to get them for next to nothing. Do make sure it's properly pinned down at the edges so birds can't get in underneath and get trapped, or indeed the pests that you're trying to keep out. Another option for put it up for pennies cold protection is to make your own hoop house. Now we've done a video on making a cold frame and a hoop house, and I will pop a link to it in the video description below. And of course, don't discount the wonderful world of propagation. These are some fruit cuttings I took in the autumn, and now look at them. They've sprouted leaves and they're really growing away. I've got some gooseberries here. They've got a few flowers on them which we don't want, so I'll just pick those off. They'll get potted up later in the growing season. The same with these black currants here, but my absolute pride of joy are these blueberries. Look at them. They're great. I can't wait to split these apart and pot them up. Do ask neighbours and friends, see if they've got some fruit bushes you might be able to propagate, and of course herbs as well. Perennial herbs like chives, mint, oregano, they can all be lifted up and divided, and it will actually benefit the original plant by doing this as well. You can also take many herbs from cuttings. Now we've got videos on all of these and I'll pop links to them down below. So if you're interested, have a little binge watch of all of these videos, because it's a great way to swat up and get more plants for free. Don't forget that what you grow your plants in is another opportunity to save money. Repurposed items of all sorts are fantastic as long as you can drill drainage holes into the bottom to make sure excess water can escape. Be as quirky and adventurous and weird as you dare. Now I'm sure you guys have plenty of money saving tips as well, so if you do, please don't be shy. Share them down below so all of us can be let in on the secret. Good news, we've got more budget stretching videos coming up over the coming weeks. Please don't miss any of them. Subscribe and turn on notifications. Don't let inflation give you nightmares. Take charge. Keep calm and carry on gardening. I'll catch you next time.